The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good evening. Hey, this is Greg Wood with Silverstream Advisors. With that video, you're probably wondering if we're trying to convince people to move to Columbus, but we always try to get to understand the markets that we recommend. We also try to show you enough demographics and the reasons why I believe certain markets will improve in value, will be good rental markets, etc. So there's always going to be pros and cons in all markets, but as we've mentioned over the years, that Silverstream Advisors will analyze markets month after month, quarter after quarter, and year after year as to when is a good time to expand into the certain markets, and maybe what are markets we want to avoid getting into at any given time. So, of course, this highlight of being Columbus is something that we've recently spent a good amount of time analyzing. We've made offers on a number of homes. We have a crew on the ground there, and one of our guest panelists, Mike Warren, will be on the webinar with us this evening, and we greatly appreciate his time. I know he's fighting off a little bit of a cold, so his voice might be cutting in and out, so we appreciate his time. So I would like to turn over a few minutes for Mike to introduce himself and maybe discuss a little bit of this slide, why he thinks Columbus is a phenomenal market for us right now.
Thanks, Greg. Good evening, everybody. Hopefully you can put up with my crackly voice today. I'm hacking a little bit. Columbus is not immune to the colds out here. So Columbus, I've lived in Columbus the majority of my life. I'm very familiar with it. For people who sort of ducked in and out of Columbus, maybe went to school at Ohio State or one of our other universities and haven't been back for a while, it's a different city today than it was even 10 years ago. It's grown up. People are usually surprised to learn that it's Ohio's largest city. People typically think of Cleveland as being the largest city, but in fact Columbus is. In fact, it's the 15th largest city in the United States when you take in its metropolitan area. So it's grown up to be quite a big city, and there's a lot of room for growth left here. We're still growing in our northwest corridor pretty much. If you're geographically challenged, Columbus sits right in the middle of the state, halfway between Cincinnati and Cleveland, which makes us half a Browns town, half a Bengals town. But we're a big distribution town for that very reason. Within 4 hours of Columbus, we can get to a huge percentage of the population, and that's why we're such a big distribution town. But you've got Pittsburgh, Indy, Chicago is just outside of 4 hours. It's closer to 5.5, and of course all the Ohio cities as well, and Louisville and Lexington. So it's a great place to operate from if you're a business. It's a great place to raise a family if you're a family, and we have so many people that go to school here, again, because of Ohio State, and then a lot of smaller colleges that surround us. A lot of people tend to stay here, so we're a very young population as well.
Well, great. We appreciate, and Mike's one of the ones that we value highly in our acquisitions and rehab, as well as our crew in Columbus for property management up there. And we'll get into some of those details. What's important for all of our investors is to know what is the makeup of an investment city. Why would someone want to invest in, let's say, Columbus versus Detroit? And we're not going to recommend Detroit right now, but it is important that they have some presence of athletics and a reason for people to move. Why are professional sports as well as college sports important for the growth of a city? What would be your take on that, Mike? I know you're a big athletic fan, but what is the reasons you believe that it's important for cities like this to have a good athletic presence?
Well, we have two pro sports teams here. We have the Columbus Blue Jackets, and then we have the Columbus Crew, our soccer team. The infrastructure that was built, the jobs that were created just to be able to house those two professional organizations was incredible. There's an area in downtown Columbus called the Arena District, and it's called the Arena District because that's where we built the Blue Jackets Arena. And the growth that's happened around that arena is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, it's not just restaurants and bars, as you would think. It's businesses who want to be down there in the middle of all the action. And they've been huge boons to the economy here. And we hope the Blue Jackets get back to playing hockey here pretty soon. But it's important. We're never going to have a professional football team here because of Ohio State. We do have a AAA team. It used to be the Yankees for years and years, but it's now the Indians AAA team. So we have a big sports presence that generate a lot of money to our economy.
Also, it's important for large companies to look for athletics because if they want to relocate, they also want to be able to attract some high-dollar clients, et cetera, and take them to athletic events. So it's important for that. If any of the audience has questions for Mike and myself, please go ahead and type those in. We will try to address those either during the presentation or at the end of it. We also have 2 properties that we are going to highlight that is available for sale in the Columbus market. Here's some of the economic makeup, the white-collar, blue-collar, government, private sector makeup, as well as some homeowner statistics and values. What's your take on right now the makeup that we show here, the vacant units, owner-occupied, average price of homes? What are you seeing right now in that market, Mike?
Well, I don't know if it's really good to say, but Columbus is what you'd call very average. And in fact, we are so average that we're the nation's leading test market. And so we're very balanced, I guess is probably a better way to say it. That sounds a lot better than being average. But it's because of we have such a great mix of blue collar to white collar, and such a diversity in our economy, our employment makeup. We're the city cap or the state capital here, I should say. So we have a fair amount of government jobs. We have a lot of large federal presence here as well. That helps our economy. But that is what has a lot to do. We have a lot of post-war housing stock, just like every other city in the Midwest. But we're very stable, and I think that's what investors are looking for, is stability in their housing stock and their portfolios. And Columbus has historically been stable for decades. People just don't know about us.
Yeah, it is one of the best kept secrets, I think, in the nation. I've been looking at various cities in Ohio for a number of years because I knew that the average price of homes in relation to the average price of or average income and rents were phenomenal. But because it's close proximity to Michigan, it's just been one of those taboo markets that people are afraid to get into. But Columbus has shielded itself, and you'll be able to see that in some of the statistics and demographics. Quality of life index is high in relation to much of the country. We've got a high amusement, cultural, and the average being 100, if that's the high water mark for the nation, is just an average. Most everything in here is higher than, other than, of course, mortality, weather, and overall quality of life isn't low. But I'm not quite sure why all causes of mortality is lower than the national average, but that's something that does take place, and of course the earthquake. But when you look at major metropolitan markets, you'll never see too many of these being that much higher than the national average. Also, the crime rate. This is one statistic that blows my mind. For a large metropolitan market, you never see this either, to see the total crime index as well as the rest of these being that low in relation to the national average for a major metropolitan area. Why do you feel that's the case, Mike?
Columbus has historically always been low crime. I wish I knew exactly why that was. I mean, we have pockets of areas in Columbus that are higher crime, obviously, than others. But overall, it's always been a very safe place to live. And I don't know why that is. And years ago, there used to be a fair amount of crime down on campus. In campus, while it's its own little city, it's factored into the rest of the crime statistics. And they made a huge push in getting that all cleaned up when they went through and renovated. They wouldn't put all these nice restaurants down there and allow crime to be what it was. So they cleaned all that up, but traditionally it's always been a low crime city.
And that is, again, I've looked at every single zip code as well. There are a couple dangerous zip codes. However, for the vast majority of them, they're really, really good places to live, especially in relation to other college towns. I think one thing that I have looked at statistically nationwide in cities are when you have a age group, a good percentage of age between 17 and 20, that is probably the highest crime age group you're going to get in any major city. And it looks like Columbus has a very small percentage of the population is in that age group. So that could be something to do with it, but we want people to be aware that it is a very safe city overall. Here's some of the makeup of the labor force, and here's the unemployment trend. Is showing good trend, moving down at below the national average. And anytime you see a chart that goes down like that, this is the time to take advantage of a market before it hits a real drop in overall unemployment. Again, test market. Ohio in general is a phenomenal test market for new products, new restaurants, etc. Columbus is no different to that. A lot of money going into trying out new products, etc. The gross domestic product for the greater metropolitan area there shows its increase in demand for products and services in that market. Do you have any insight here on this slide that you're showing on here, Mike?
Well, no, other than we're very proud of the fact that we've shown this sort of steady growth, and especially over the last few years we've had such a horrible economy. And again, it all goes back to the diversity of our economy. You know, the white collar to the blue collar and government, the private sector. It's just a good environment. You know, in our unemployment rate is what you have to contribute our unemployment rate to some of the lower crime numbers that we see as well. You know, we traditionally have lower unemployment rates than the rest of the country, which I think you'll probably address in here. But it really comes down to diversity. We have a big, huge financial presence here. We're the second largest insurance town in the United States outside of Providence. We have Nationwide Insurance and a host of other insurance companies that are headquartered here, as well as Chase Bank, which used to be Bank One, which was headquartered here and kept all their presence here. So it just comes down to diversity. It really does.
And of course, everyone loves Ohio State that lives up there, even though they've had some recent issues to speak of. But people argue that it should have been the #1 college football team this last year. Unfortunately, they were sanctioned. Is that correct, Mike?
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, we like Ohio State. I don't think that we think we should have been #1. It's hard to look at Alabama and Notre Dame play and think that we could beat either one of those two teams. So
they've always had a good football program for sure. There's no question about that. Here's some of the recent articles that, and we say recent, last handful of years, that have been written up about Columbus, one of the top 10 best big cities in the country, #7 best place in the country to operate a business, #3 city of the future, and #4 most business-friendly city, #7 strongest economy in the U.S. and best in Ohio, #1 city in America to raise a family, and that was just a few years ago, #8 best city in America to live, etc., etc. So lots of good news about it over the years, nothing to scare people away. But yet they still were a victim of the economy and the housing. Housing prices dropped significantly. It is something to look at, that we need to invest in markets that show signs of recovery, that will be good investments long term, and yet still got beat up in housing prices, but not significantly to say it was you're buying homes for free. This is I'm not sure what this slide was was thrown in, but it's something I think you wanted to address on. Is that correct?
Well,
Mike?
yeah, I threw that Steve's way. I didn't know if he wanted to use it or not. I thought it was kind of funny. It's a little misleading because we actually cut the article off, but it sort of makes it sound like there's such a groundswell of people looking for rental homes that we're having to control the crowds with pepper spray. The truth of it was for subsidized housing, so it was the opening of a project that that people were trying to get into. But I thought it was
pretty
amusing.
interesting. This is a great house. We just acquired this one to give you a good idea of what might be available. This home easily would sell for $145,000 in a normal market. It was a great zip code, one of the better zip codes for affordable, single-family homes, but yet extremely low crime, very close to lots of amenities. We're selling this home for $87,000, fully remodeled, great condition, hardwood floors. This would net you 11 and change annual yield if you didn't use financing, but because we do have some financing available at 8% interest only, your adjusted cash-on-cash return could be almost 15% after expenses. And that home is available right now. The next one we've got is also a really good brick house. We have to top to bottom remodel, get new paint, carpet, etc. on this home as well. This is a little bit older, but it's in a phenomenal zip code. Like I had mentioned, purchase price being about $85,000 at 1,800 square feet. That's $47 per square foot. Fully remodeled, good rent neighborhood, and again, with financing, you could see an increase in the cash-on-cash return on that as well. A little bit about, I know Mike would probably want to discuss a little bit about Cap Columbus, as well as the property management and renovation services that we recommend and use out there. You want to give a little quick tidbit on Cap Columbus, Mike?
Yeah, I won't bore you with too much. We're sort of a hybrid. We wholesale houses out here. We're involved in a lot of different projects. We get involved in both residential and commercial stuff. On the property management side, my partner Tom Fortin manages his management company. I don't know what the actual count is, but I'm sure it's probably over 1,000 units of both single family and small apartments, even high-rise apartments that he's managed. I don't think he has any high-rise apartments right now, but as well as commercial property management as well. We provide renovation services to our clients, and of course, when we find these properties on the wholesale side, we always send the best deals to SilverStream and see if we can get them into the property, and then of course find a tenant and manage it and get it renovated and cleaned up and leased. But we put a high amount of effort into the property management side of this thing, so that you guys aren't disappointed in service levels that you're providing to your tenants.
And we have the Cap handling the rehab and the rental of these two units as well, just so our clients are aware. Here's the market trend recently. It shows the average listing has gone down, as well as median price. This is a buyer's market. It is also a time I've recognized a lot of the homes that we put offers on, they're getting some action. So we'll put an offer on about 15 houses to acquire 8 of those at least, and sometimes we'll back out of 1 or 2 even after the fact. So it is important to recognize this is a time to do that. One of the charts that we like to show both internally and to some of our clients is the price to rent ratio, and we can spend some time in the details of what this means, but it does show that the rental demand is going up. If you want to quickly go over this slide as well, Mike, what your thoughts are on it?
Yeah, well, I saw this today actually, and grabbed this for tonight's presentation, and really it just supports what we already knew, because we can feel it, by the number of calls that we're getting. I actually have a personal story. A friend of mine was trying to find a single-family rental home. She lost her husband, and she was trying to find a single-family rental home, and she was working with realtor after realtor after realtor to find a home, and finally figured out that by the time you call on these single-family homes that are being rented, they're already gone. So we can sense that. We know the demand is way up. You know, it's sad, but people are being displaced from their homes, and they don't want to move into apartments from a single-family home. So there's a lot of demand out there, and all this did was validate that.
And this is also, just so you're aware, the higher the number this is, the better. That just shows a higher chance of good returns, double-digit returns, when you can see this anywhere over 15. It's important to look at that as a good investment. Another thing that shows the home sales, they have dropped the number of sales, and again, this is the time you want to buy. It shows the trend. The median prices are going up, which means this trend is going to go up as well, we believe. So we want to teach people it is the time to buy. When you can see these numbers dropping, it is important to jump in at a rock bottom price. Here's our contact information. We want people to contact us. We have a nonprofit organization, Ascend Alliance, that we wholeheartedly believe in, a lot of the good that they do. We also have a financial solutions group where we can help you do some advanced planning here at our firm. But what's most important right now is to teach people to take advantage of the strong economic opportunity that you can take advantage of right now. You can buy homes at rock bottom prices, half the cost to rebuild, get double-digit returns, and take advantage of this within your IRAs. We could teach you how to set up self-directed IRAs as well. And really, we're here to help you understand the different options that are out there for your financial future, and take advantage of a market like Columbus. Because I believe these prices of homes, for example, this one built in 1996, my opinion is this home will go up $20,000 to $40,000 in value just over the next 3 to 5 years if you take advantage of it. But in the meantime, you could get a 15% return on your investment. So in 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, you get your money back plus the full value of the home at that time. You will never see these opportunities repeated again in our lifetime. So greatly appreciate everyone's time. We hope that it was of value. We'd love to hear from you so that we could educate you on what markets are important to get into. And we thank Mike for his time. I know he was fighting through some cold and cough. So thanks again, Mike. Any parting thoughts or comments?
No, just invest in Columbus. Come see us.
All right, thanks again. And if you have any questions, please email us. Again, I'll give you that final screen here so that you can know how to get in touch with us so that we can answer any questions you might have. Thanks again.